Okay, so here I have a 2010 Nissan Maxima, and we're going to replace the bank 2 catalytic converter on this vehicle. Bank 1 is on the back, bank 2 is right here, the way you could tell or find out which ignition coil sticks out the furthest. So for example, looking at it from here, this coil right here was the farthest. Okay, so wherever the crankshaft is at, that's where the left side starts. It's not going to be on this side because the crank is on this side. So this one's going to be bank 1 and this one's going to be bank 2. Cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the tools you'll need is a 12mm socket, a 22/7/8 socket for the O2 sensor, a 16 socket, an extension, some pliers, needle nose, a pick, long, flathead, a gun, of course, if you're able to obtain one, an extension, 6-inch, 12mm socket. This one's 13, sorry, but this one's a 12. A ratchet, 18. Actually, no, not the 18, but you'll need a 16mm ratchet and wrench, a 14 ratchet and wrench, and then a 10. So you're going to be using the 10, 14, and the 16. Now for this, I would grab some that have teeth. Don't use the regular 10. Let's see. Don't use these, because these will round it off. Use a wrench that has sharper teeth, because it will round these 4 bolts that go to the exhaust cover. Okay, so the first thing what you want to do, there's going to be a 10 here, a 10 here, and another 10 here that's holding this. So you take that off, and then there's going to be this hose that goes right here to the radiator. So get your pliers, clamp, for the clamp, open it up and then bring it down. And now the hose, what you want to do, because they will get stuck, what you want to do is just grab it from the end and then twist it, and as you're twisting it, just pull it back. So like this, twist it and then just pull it back. Make sure you got like a little like a pan or something to grab some of the coolant, because it will spill. Me, on the other hand, I had some random object or fucking cover that excuse my language, that I found to hold the coolant. Okay, now keep in mind, whenever you do take off this hose, you will have to bleed the system, and that's at the very end. And the way to do that is you basically take this cap off, you fill in some coolant, make sure you got the right one, green, blue. In this case it is green, but those come in concentrated, so you're gonna have to put in a little bit of water. So fill it up. Once it reaches to the top, obviously you put the hose back in. Once it reaches to the top, turn on your vehicle, set it onto the heater mode, turn off the AC button, and make sure the heater is on. And then you'll just see this bubble up. Give it like a minute or two, let it idle, and then, you know, at the same time be checking to see if it's actually heating. You'll feel a little bit warm, but after like 2 minutes, to speed up the process, step on the gas to about 2,000 RPM, 3,000, and then you'll see it getting warm and hot. And once you have the air blowing hot, you know, that's a sign that most of the air that's trapped in the system is out of it. But once you see it stop bubbling up, just go ahead and put the cap back on and you're good to go. So, but make sure you do that at the end after putting everything back, because you did open up the system. Okay, so now let's get started with this. So you have the hose, that, and now you're gonna have, there's gonna be a bolt right there, another bolt right there, another one down here, and then another one somewhere right there. So there's gonna be 4 total. Okay, so that's these. And then use one with sharper teeth. But actually, before you do all that, you want to add some WD-40 on all the bolts, on all the nuts that we're about to loosen up due to rust. And it's just gonna make it easier for you to break, because you don't want these to break. So WD-40, let it rest for like 10 minutes, and then get started. So once you get those 4 out of the way, down here, as you can see, you see right there, you can kind of see that nut right there. So right there, there's a nut. It's a 12, and there's gonna be another one on this side. It's really hard to see. Okay, so there's gonna be one nut here, and then another nut right here. And the reason we took these 4 off is to give you room to be able to access that 12 nut and this other 12 nut that's holding the cat. So you'll see what I'm talking about. See there, you can see it right there. So you're just gonna be able to move this around. Okay, and that's those two 12 millimeters, and then from there, that's about it from up here. So now let's go to the bottom. Bear with me. Trying to teach you guys how to do this the right way, because I did run into some issues myself. And the first video that I did was pretty quick and not so detailed, I guess you can say. Bear with me. Okay, so now we're down here. You see that right there, the exhaust? Okay, so we got to take that off first. So there's going to be a 16 with your socket, gun, impact, whatever. So you take those two 16s, and now this 16 up here is going to be hard to get a socket in, so you're going to have to use a ratchet and a wrench to take that off. And then there's going to be a 14 right there, right there. Okay, so there's going to be that 14, these 3 16s. But you could keep that 14 on for right now. So take off these 16s, remember ratchet wrench because it won't fit a socket. And then these 3 16s, 16, 16, 16. And then another one, two more 16s back here. And then there's gonna be a bracket right here, and it's a 12 millimeter nut. So you use a 12 millimeter socket. Take that off, and then you got that off. And then from there, you're gonna have 1 bolt, 2, 3, and then another one here, so 4. So there's gonna be 4 bolts and then 2 nuts from up top that's holding this cat, and then this 14 right here, this one right here. Okay, so now up here, the connector, it was kind of hard to get to, just because pulling the sleeve down, it's just too, you don't get a good grip. So what I did was grab the pick or a flathead to break it pretty much. So once it's, you gotta connect it, right? And make sure you're wearing goggles too, because a lot of debris comes down. So, but if you put your hand, you could squeeze the connector, but that's not gonna be enough. So what I did was I took a pick. Let's see if I can zoom it in. So I took a pick and a flathead to be able to push that forward and then pull the connector down. But in my case, I already had the cat hanging, so whenever I was pushing that tab forward from down here, the cat just fell on me. So do be careful whenever you are loosening, taking that off. And it did kind of help, because pulling it down, it is a bit tricky because of the sleeve. So just be careful whenever you're doing that. And that's about it. Let me see if I forgot anything. Just bleed the system after you're done. Whenever you put in it back, put this 14 back, and then you can start putting these other folds back in. All these other 4 bolts, and then the 2 nuts up there. And now for the 2 nuts up there, I did have to get some needle nose. So what I did was I grabbed the nut from the end, and then I put it back pretty close enough to the threads, because it is hard to get your 2 fingers in there. So That's what I did from up top. And another thing, here's the old one. Okay, so here's the old one. So if yours didn't come with new studs, pretty much like this, if yours didn't come with new studs, you're gonna have to take off the old ones and put the new ones in. Now, so what I did was I grabbed these and I grabbed it at the very end. Sorry. Okay, so what I did, I used this end because it just has better teeth. Because over here I was using it at first, but it was slipping, so it was damaging my teeth on here. So these were rounding off. So what I did was I used this pretty much to grab onto it. Now what you want to do whenever you grab it on is make sure you grab like the tip where there's no threads, because you don't want to damage the threads. So I grabbed it from like at the bottom down here. You're gonna have more room to be able to fit this in. If you damage it a little bit, it's fine, but just try not to damage it too much, and make sure you got a good tight grip before you start turning this. And then you're gonna have to put those two studs back in, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because for the cat, it's gonna be 4 bolts, right? And then there's gonna be 2 studs that you're gonna have to swap out or replace if you do get new ones, because these were the 2 nuts that we took from up top. Go to and just put those back in, and that's pretty much it. It's not that bad, actually. Pretty simple.